Hey everyone, ready to dive in. Today we're tackling how to make social media work for you, specifically for all you tech writers out there.
Should be a fun one.
We're going to be dissecting this article, Social Media Guidance for Technical Writers.
Yeah, by Curt Robbins. He's a senior tech writer, knows his stuff.
It was just on LinkedIn, August 29th, so very recent.
And the fact that it's on LinkedIn should tell you something right there. That's where everyone in our world is networking, so having this advice targeted there, it's like a masterclass in how to be seen.
Totally. And what I like about Robin's style is he's very actionable, very do this, don't do that. So you're not just getting theory, you're getting like a playbook.
Exactly. A playbook, and I'd even say, like, those warning signs on the trail, Like, don't go this way. You'll fall off the cliff of bad social media etiquette.
Love that. All right, so let's get into it. One of Robin's first big points is knowing your audience. He actually compares not doing this to, like, a marketing campaign that misses its mark totally. What do you think about that?
Well, think about it. If you're a tech writer trying to attract, say, software developers as clients, you wouldn't use the same language on LinkedIn that you would to explain something to, I don't know, your grandma, right?
Right, right. So much of what we do is about tailoring the message.
Absolutely. Your LinkedIn profile, it's got to be speaking directly to the people you want to work with.
Okay, so you've nailed down your ideal audience. Then Robbins hits us with post daily.
Yeah, I can see people's eyes rolling already.
Right, because we're all busy. Who has time for that?
Yeah.
But then he explains his reasoning, and it's like, okay, I see where you're coming from.
It's about consistency, right? Even if it's just for a few minutes each day, you don't have to be crafting these long, elaborate posts. Just a quick comment here, a like there. Show people you're present and engaged.
Okay, but that feels way more doable.
Hmm.
He's not saying you need to become an influencer who's always on.
Exactly. And honestly, scheduling tools can be a lifesaver for this. Plan your content in advance and boom, you're good to go.
Right, tech to the rescue. And speaking of things that can trip us up, Robbins is big on proofreading, as he should be.
Can you imagine a tech writer who can't spell or has typos all over their profile? Talk about killing your credibility.
It's like the chef who can't boil water.
Exactly. Attention to detail is everything in our line of work, and that includes how we present ourselves online.
Totally. And this next point from Robbins made me laugh because I'm so guilty of it sometimes. The dreaded wall of text post.
Ah, yes. I've seen a few of those in my day.
And it doesn't matter how brilliant the content might be, if I see that giant block of text, I'm scrolling right past it.
Our attention spans are shrinking by the minute, it seems. But what's interesting is that Robbins himself uses long-form content strategically. Did you notice at the end of his article, he has this whole call to action for his services?
Oh, that's right, he does. So it's not that long form is always bad.
Right. It's about choosing the right platform. Blogs, articles, those are great for that deep dive. But social media, you gotta grab people's attention fast.
Short and sweet. Okay, this is a good one, and I think a lot of us struggle with it. He talks about humble bragging.
Ah, yes, the art of subtly showcasing your accomplishments.
Right, because you want to demonstrate your expertise, but you don't want to sound like, that person.
Robbins' advice is to let your work speak for itself. Don't just say you're great at something, show it. Share snippets of your best writing, link to projects you're proud of.
It's like that saying, show, don't tell. But for the LinkedIn generation.
Exactly. Think of those posts with clear, concise explanations of complex topics. Those are golden examples of humble bragging done right. It's like showing off your coding skills without being that person who's always bragging about their latest project.
Exactly. Show, don't tell. But speaking of showing and telling, Robbins talks about LinkedIn groups, and I have to admit I've always been a bit on the fence about them.
Really, what's got you hesitant?
I guess I'm not always sure how to use them effectively.
Yeah.
Sometimes they feel like just another online group where people go to post random articles.
I get it. But for a niche field like ours, tech writing LinkedIn groups can actually be incredibly valuable. Think about it. Where else can you connect with people who truly understand the ins and outs of API documentation or user interface design?
That's true. It's like having a direct line to people who speak your language, professionally speaking.
Exactly. And not just other tech writers either, but potential clients, industry experts. It's like a gold mine of networking opportunities.
Okay, you've sold me. I need to up my LinkedIn groups game. But just being a member isn't enough, right? I need to actually be active in these groups.
You got it. And Robbins echoes that sentiment. He's all about active participation, and I couldn't agree more. Don't be a wallflower in these groups. Share your insights, Ask questions, engage in discussions.
So instead of just lurking in the background reading other people's posts, I should be the one starting a conversation about, say, the latest trends in technical documentation.
Precisely. Become a thought leader, someone people look to for valuable information in those groups.
I like the sound of that. From wallflower to thought leader.
Mm.
But while we're on the topic of things to do and not do on social media, I know Robbins gets into some of the don'ts as well.
He does, and there are some important ones, especially if you're trying to build a professional brand online. One that stood out to me was his advice on steering clear of controversy. You know, those hot button topics that can turn a friendly conversation into a digital war zone?
Oh, yeah. Politics, religion, all those things that people feel very strongly about.
Exactly. And while it's fine to have your own opinions, LinkedIn is probably not the best place to air them, especially if you're trying to attract clients or land a new job.
It's like bringing up those topics at a dinner party. Not always the best recipe for a pleasant evening.
Exactly. So as Robin suggests, stick to what you know best. Tech writing, industry trends, professional development. Keep it neutral and keep it classy.
Agreed. Less digital drama, more professional discourse.
Now, on a slightly lighter note, another don't that Robbins emphasizes is negativity.
Ah, yes. And I'm not just talking about outright negativity, but even that subtle cynicism or snark that can sometimes creep into our online interactions.
You know, those passive-aggressive comments that are meant to be funny but can actually come across as unprofessional?
I've definitely been guilty of that myself, especially when I'm feeling burnt out or frustrated. It's like you let your guard down and forget that you're still in a professional setting, even if it's online.
And that's what Robbins wants us to remember. Negativity, even if veiled as humor, reflects poorly on you. It can make people question your judgment, your professionalism.
It's like the old saying, you catch more flies with honey. Only in this case, instead of flies, it's clients and opportunities.
Exactly. So choose your words carefully and err on the side of positivity, even when you're having a bad day. Now, on a different but equally important note, Robbins also cautions against spreading ourselves too thin on social media.
Oh, I am so guilty of this. There are so many platforms these days. LinkedIn, Twitter, Mastodon, and who knows what else will pop up next week. It's overwhelming.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what Robbins wants us to avoid. Social media burnout. He's a firm believer in quality over quantity.
Meaning, it's better to have a strong presence on one or two platforms than to be scattered across 5 different platforms and not really engaging meaningfully on any of them.
Exactly, and this ties into his earlier point about knowing your audience.
Right, because where are the people you're trying to reach actually spending their time? Are they on Twitter, LinkedIn, or some niche platform specific to their industry?
Exactly. So focus your efforts where they'll have the most impact. Now, while we're talking about engagement or lack thereof, I wanted to touch on something we've all probably experienced at some point: account neglect. You know, when you start off gung-ho, posting regularly, and then life gets in the way, and suddenly weeks or even months have passed since you last updated your profile.
Oh, I've been there. It's like you disappear from the digital world without a trace. You're a social media ghost.
Precisely. And while everyone understands that life happens, those long periods of inactivity can be detrimental to your online presence.
Especially if you've worked hard to build up that initial momentum. It's like you're telling the world, hey, remember me. Yeah, I'm not really that into this whole online thing anymore.
It can be a real momentum killer, but the good news is Robbins offers a solution: scheduling tool.
Yes, those mysterious scheduling tools. I've used them a bit, but I'm not gonna lie, they always seemed a bit intimidating.
I get it, but trust me, they can be a lifesaver, especially if you're someone like me who can get easily overwhelmed by, the constant demands of the digital world.
So instead of letting my LinkedIn account gather dust while I'm off wrestling with a particularly challenging piece of documentation, I could use a scheduling tool to, preload some posts about my experiences.
Exactly. Share your process, your insights, even your struggles. It keeps people engaged and shows that you're still active and present even when you're not literally chained to your computer.
Okay, that's actually a really helpful way to think about it. I need to embrace the power of scheduling.
It's like having an assistant who handles your social media for you, only it's way more affordable.
Love that. So to bring it all back, what I'm hearing from Robbins and from you is that social media for tech writers isn't about just randomly posting whenever you think of it. It's about strategy.
100%. Just like with any other aspect of our work, we need a plan. We need to understand our goals, our audience, the tools at our disposal.
It's like we're crafting a user manual but for our online presence.
I love that analogy. You need a clear purpose, a target audience, and you need to be consistent with your messaging.
And just like a well-written user manual can make all the difference for someone who's struggling to understand a complex piece of technology, a well-crafted social media strategy can make all the difference in how you're perceived by potential clients, employers, collaborators. It can really open doors to new opportunities.
It's about putting your best foot forward, digitally speaking, and showing the world what you're capable of.
Well said. So to all our listeners out there, I hope this deep dive into Curt Robbins' article has given you some food for thought, maybe even inspired you to take action.
And remember, it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start small, focus on one thing at a time, and build from there.
Exactly. Even just committing to one small change to your social media habits can make a difference.
So as you navigate the world of LinkedIn and beyond, remember to be strategic, be authentic, and most importantly, be yourself.
Couldn't said it better myself. It's been a pleasure diving deep into this topic with you today.
Likewise,
All right.
always a pleasure to chat all things tech writing and social media.
And to our listeners, as always, thank you for joining us on the deep dive. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode, so feel free to connect with us on social media and share your insights. Until next time.